I've been trying to do a research study as well here at the Catholic University of Korea. And of course, the pandemic made things more challenging because the university requested that I only do the interviews that I wanted to do through Zoom. And of course, this was during the pandemic when we're still focused, everybody's still focused on stopping the spread of the virus. And so rather than interview people face to face, the university wanted me to only interview people on Zoom. And I've had trouble getting people to agree to engage in this process. So for example, well, let me also open up another file here just to show you what I had to send out. If I can find it here. Yeah, here it is. So the Institutional Review Board formulated these two documents. And of course, yeah, I'm trying to do this in the English language. I mean, most of the people at the Somang Church, their English is excellent, native fluency, basically. So first I had to send out this invitation letter, Zoom interview study seeks participants. But again, I had to get the approval of the CUK Institutional Review Board for this, for the text of this invitation letter that I had to send out on Kakao Talk and Facebook and email. I sent this out. And of course, as it's stated, I'm doing this work together with another professor that used to be here at Catholic University of Korea, but now she's in Africa. And so trying to find volunteers. And I sent this out and I didn't get any responses for weeks and weeks and weeks until a few weeks ago. People have started to respond positively. So that's a positive development. I've got at least two people, probably more, who are going to agree to be interviewed by me at Somang Church. But I've got so much other stuff to do. I'm trying to get through to the end of the semester before I start analyzing their interview data that they provided for me. And this is the form that I had to send out. If they agreed, if they were interested, I had to send out this form. Again, this was approved by the Catholic University of Korea. So you can see it's kind of intimidating. And I sign here and they're supposed to sign there, and and then they're supposed to give the date of consent. And this is standard practice in terms of an institutional review board consent form. And I sent this out on Kakao Talk, and I didn't get any responses. And people explained to me at Somang Church, they thought that this was some kind of spam, that it wasn't coming from me, that supposedly was just because I didn't explain it. I just sent it out. I copy pasted it in a Kakao Talk or on Facebook, and they said that they thought it was just some spam that they received. I didn't understand that, because they would see my name on the Kakao Talk message that I sent out repeatedly, and they didn't. But now they've started. A couple people have agreed to be interviewed. I got one set of interviews recorded. I'm trying to learn that NVivo software I mentioned. I got a copy of that. It cost like $600 that the university bought. I've got to use that NVivo software. I think maybe everybody at the university has access to it. And I'm going to work on, this will be one of my projects, of course, when the semester's over. And so this is the kind of thing that you have to do with the Institutional Review Board. You got to get their people's approval, agreement, and they got to sign this document. And this is all kind of intimidating. Like, well, you're my friend. You mean I got to sign this? I don't know. What am I doing here? So, when you make it more formal like this, it can become more challenging, but it's pretty much unavoidable. You gotta go through the Institutional Review Board. And that's why I've been asking you if you've had success in finding people willing to volunteer to be recorded by you, because I want to record these people when I interview them. I want to record their words so that I can download the text and then analyze the text of their statements. So I can look for patterns in encoding the text of their statements, right? So I need words. I need to record them. And people get nervous often when you say, well, you want to record me? I don't know, I don't want to be recorded. You say, look, I promise I'll keep it anonymous. I'll never reveal this to anybody. And if I do, you can take legal action against the university and me, because we signed this document, try to convince them so this is typically one of what an Institutional Review Board consent form looks like, at least in English. How they do it in Korea, in Korean language, I don't know. But this is, our studies being done in English language. So, okay, and then we need to do the debate. We only have 10 minutes left already, and I guess we'll have a face-to-face class debate. And I think I should create a website. Open up. I got to go back to the course website here, and you know, there's so much you didn't have a chance to talk about this semester because you know it's one semester introduction to conflict theory, structural functionalism, symbolic interactionism, approaches in sociology to theories for analysis of information. You know, that's a theme, right, that comes across all the time in this material, that you have to have a theoretical framework in order to interpret the data that you're getting. There's no such thing as data that you don't interpret. You have to have a theoretical framework to interpret data to make it into information. And so, you know, we're using the Trompenaars Hampton-Turner book as that main source of information. Let me see. Let me add a vote on it, as we have only, I think, a few people here today. So we go here, 22/6. What is the date today? The 17th, right? 17th. Who won the debate? And so let me put that in here and go pro. And I guess that starts now until 12 o'clock. Here, I gotta do this now, 12 o'clock. And here, post results, pro, con, neutral, cannot decide. On the debate topic, does globalization decrease the level of corruption in world affairs? So let's go back to the assignment. And here it is, the debate topic. To South Koreans, corruption globally overall is slowly declining because of globalization. So corruption globally is corruption slowly declining because of globalization. And go back to the vote and go back down here. And who won the debate? I'm just put that in here as we edit this, so it's easy to remember what we're voting on, debating on, and save. And then break us up into breakout rooms, and we'll make 2 rooms and assign automatically and rename. This one is pro and this one is con. And let me ask Gloria, are you pro or con on the debate topic? Gloria?
I don't remember. Let me check.
And they are pro or con? You're pro. Okay, so I'll move you to pro. And Gloria, you pro or con?
I'm con.
Okay, great. Move you to con. So Dea Kwan, you are pro. You can start us off. Yeah.
I agree with the statement that to South Koreans, corruption globally overall slowly declining because of globalization. In general, corruption is caused by political and economic factors. In particular, in case of Korea, the collusion between the authoritarian regime and the chaebol companies like Samsung was severe in the past. Globalization, which needs standard across regions, has contributed to the spread of democracy. For example, Korea proposed globalization in Korean 세계화 as a national slogan during the Kim Il-sung president administration, maybe 1992 or 1993, and reached the first democratic regime, and implemented an immediate financial real name system and economic transparency policy. Since then, Korea's political economy has been in line with global trends. People around the world have actively invested in Korean market, and Korean companies, not only chaebol companies, lots of Korean companies have begun to collaborate with multinational law firms and strategic consulting companies. And thanks to the tendency to keep pace with globalization, corruption such as political and economic collusion in Korea and other Korean political risks has been less than before.
Okay, yeah, just as a comment, that corresponds to what I've heard over the years, particularly back when I first got here, about supposedly Korean companies will be even more competitive, but the ownership structure is opaque, and somehow supposedly the claim is made by these pundits writing in the international American business media that companies would be even more competitive and profitable if they were more transparent in their functions, and that's of course an imperative that they're facing as they try to globalize the economies. I don't know if that's really true. Since then, with the great financial crisis of 2008, 9, 10, and now with the pandemic, Korean companies are all over the place, building now battery factories in the United States, costing billions of dollars to transform to electric cars and so on. Anyway, okay, so Gloria, you are Khan. So Gloria, make your statement.
Okay. Firstly, the concept of integrity and corruption might not be the same for all of your friends, all of your bosses, and all of the members of your family. In business, it's the same. Everyone wants an honest leader, but what integrity means in different cultures around the world. This is obviously not something we have a common understanding on, because we do not learn it at school. Moral is a concept that fights against and toward dishonesty and lack of integrity. Indian, for example, tend to be a very particularistic culture, tend to stick together, while universalists are attached to the seriousness of the situation. Globalization, as I highlighted earlier in my essay on methodology, doesn't erase specific and national differences between humans. It may bring them closer, but doesn't make them more similar. Particularistic could see universalist person as cold-hearted and too pragmatic, therefore corrupted, while universalist could see particularist person as untrusty, therefore also corrupted. In Italy, in Puglia, corruption is really high. Nevertheless, Italian could see the mafiosi micro-society as a little family where corruption is just tied bonds between corrupted men, which make them human and loyal. Does it change people's perception on corruption? If Italy is a globalized country, very rich in the north, then why is corruption really distilled in the country?
Okay, yeah, I mean, my response is, that corruption is a subjective judgment. In other words, it's an ethical, moral judgment of the behavior of someone else not acting into conformity with the public good. And that's a very general statement of corruption, in which somebody utilizes entrusted authority for private gain. And they claim it's for entrusted public authority for private gain, and does it in a way that's not acceptable. And of course, what's not acceptable depends upon what people's norms and values are. And those norms and values are culturally specific, and they're also time specific, because cultures change, right? Germany has a reputation of being one of the least corrupt countries in the world. Yet, of course, 200 years ago, Germany was a very different place, with an aristocracy ruling the country, something like how Saudi Arabia still exists today as an aristocratic, traditional, authoritarian country. And giving gifts to the ruler is not considered, or giving gifts to the ruling class is not considered corruption in that society. So it does generate a question about how globalization and the growing awareness of interdependency is making more people aware of cultural differences. And I don't think, that in chapter 20 of the Trompenaars book, they make that point, right? That all these companies, they talk about integrity. In other words, we don't engage in corruption, because the opposite of being having integrity is being corrupt. So if you say, we're all about integrity, we're against corruption. But corruption is a subjective statement, and you have to accommodate different societies' cultural expectations and not necessarily conform with them. You don't necessarily engage in corruption, but you're supposed to come up with creative solutions when there are cultural differences in terms of different norms and values impact your business operations and your need to make decisions about how to get things done and compete successfully in the market and generate profits. And that means being creative to go deeper. And of course, that's a very general, vague statement that Trompenaars and Hampton Turner, leave us with. And how you do that in particular cases, they only talk about, the pedestrian case But if you're an American oil company that wants to do business in Saudi Arabia, you're going to have to bribe somebody. We call that bribery, but they don't call it bribery there. So how do you justify it? Well, typically you justify it to whom? The authorities. Like, for example, you can say Saudi Arabia is an important ally of the United States against terrorism. And so we are cooperating in the fight with the terrorism. It becomes also, again, a normative, ethical, rhetorical explanation and justification for that deeper creativity to create something new and go beyond the immediate situation to transcend it by reconciling the opposites. And so we've tried to talk about that, how having a government on your side, government authorities of a state on your side is very useful for doing that. Okay, but in this short class, that's about it for today. And so let me ask you then to vote on the debate sorry, let me go back here and to who won the debate and share screen. And so vote, who won the debate, pro or con? And of course, only 2 people are here today. So I'll let you decide how you want to vote on that. So that's it for today. And you have until 12 o'clock to vote. And that's it. Okay. So I'll look forward to reading your final exam papers this weekend and your projects that you're also submitting. Okay. Any questions? If not, bye.